Welcome to the Eastern Bloc. On a September evening in 1994, a Mercedes exploded in the very heart of Moscow on Tverskaya Yamskaya Street. The car belonged to one of the capital's most powerful underworld figures, Sergei Timofeyev, better known by his nickname, Sylvester. In just a few years, this former tractor driver from a remote Novgorod village had ruthlessly eliminated his rivals and became one of Moscow's most influential crime bosses. His murder remains unsolved to this day, and some even doubt that he was the one who died in that car that night. Mafia was born in 1955 in a tiny village called Klin, deep in the Novgorod region. As a teenager, he worked as a tractor driver at a local collective farm, a job that would later inspire his first underworld nickname, the tractor driver. The army gave Timofey his first real escape from rural obscurity. Strong and athletic, he joins a sports unit, which later helped him settle in Moscow after his service. There, he found work as a sports instructor, training young men in bodybuilding and hand-to-hand combat. Living in a dormitory in Orekhovo Borisova, Timofeyev and his trainees soon cross paths with local street gangs, the more protected shell game hustlers. And in return, they recruited muscular young men to guard them. Timofeyev's physical strength and natural leadership quickly put him in charge. The small-time street punks were replaced by disciplined fighters, and the tractor driver evolved into Serozha Novgorodsky, and later in Sylvester, named after Hollywood action star Sylvester Stallone. In the late 1980s, as the Soviet Union legalized private enterprise, the Orekhovo group seized control of all illegal businesses in their district. Prostitutes, swindlers, card sharks, everyone paid tribute to Sylvester. Soon their influence spread to restaurants, auto shops, market stalls, and retail stores. By the end of 1988, the Orekhovo organized crime group was fully formed, destined to become one of Moscow's most powerful criminal enterprises. In 1988, Timofeyev was arrested for extorting money from a businessman. Facing a long sentence, he managed to escape with minimal punishment, 2 years in pre-trial detention, which the court later counted as time served. By the time he was released, the world had changed. The USSR had collapsed, the borders were open, and while capitalism had begun, Russia was experiencing a banking boom, and Sylvester decided to aim higher, shifting from small-time racketeering to banking fraud. By 1993, he controlled the Moscow Trade Bank, putting his new wife in charge. Through it, billions of rubles were funneled abroad via shell companies, a massive money laundering network masked as legitimate business. Sylvester also provided protection for one of the most notorious financial pyramids of the early 1990s, Vlastelina. Its clients included many Russian celebrities, whose participation convinced ordinary citizens that the scheme was safe. In exchange for a cut of the profits, Timofeyev protected Vlastelina's owner, Valentina Solovyova, from other gangs. Unlike traditional blackmail, thieves-in-law, Sylvester wasn't interested in criminal romanticism. He built his empire around athletes and former security officers, not old school gangsters. His closest lieutenants included Grigory Gusyatinsky, a former KGB officer, and Sergei Ananievsky, the last Soviet powerlifting champion. Sylvester's ambition often clashed with Russia's stars. Early in his career, he tried to take a cut from singer Vladimir Kuzmin concert income, but at the time, Sylvester wasn't powerful enough, and Kuzmin had friends who could protect him. Later, in 1994, Sylvester confronted Alla Pugacheva, the country's biggest pop icon. She planned to build a song theater in Moscow, but the site chosen for construction was on Sylvester's turf. He warned her team that the project would not proceed unless his financial demands were met. The theater was never built, due not only to his threats but also to the immense reconstruction costs. Sylvester's most famous conflict was with Boris Berezovsky, one of Russia's emerging oligarchs. In 1994, through the Moscow Trade Bank, Sylvester allegedly blocked funds belonging to Berezovsky Company. A logo was, when Berezovsky involved law enforcement, he was soon targeted in an assassination attempt. His driver was killed, and he was injured. The attack was never solved, but many believe Sylvester ordered it. Berezovsky eventually won the financial dispute and reclaimed his money, but the confrontation made Sylvester a dangerous enemy to Russia's elite. Sylvester harbored a lifelong hatred of Caucasian gangs, which, according to legend, began when he was severely beaten by them early in his career. From then on, he provoked conflicts with Caucasian groups at every opportunity. In 1993, he started a gang war with the Booman Group over control of the Arlequina nightclub. The dispute was largely symbolic. Sylvester already had vast assets, but he acted on principle. The Pullman leader, Valery Dlugach, aka Globus, was backed by several Caucasian groups who hoped he'd help them expand into Moscow. Sylvester took offense and ordered his assassination, carried out by then little-known hitman Alexander Solony. The Orekhovo group later eliminated Vladislav Banner, another Bowman leader. In spring 1994, the influential businessman and public figure Atarik Vantrishvili was shot dead by the legendary contract killer Alexei Sherstabitov, a hitman for the Orekhovo gang. Years later, investigators named Sylvester as the mastermind behind the killing. By the time of his death, Sylvester controlled multiple banks and businesses, from nightclubs and restaurants to factories outside Moscow. On September 13, 1994, his Mercedes exploded in central Moscow. The body was burned beyond recognition. Identification was only possible thanks to dental records from American dentists who had treated him during a trip to the US. There were many enemies who wanted him dead, Caucasian gangs, Moscow rivals, and even Berezovsky or Vyacheslav Venkom, aka Yaponchik. The two had once been close, but their relationship had soured months before the explosion. In 2011, a former bodyguard of Sergei Butorin, Sylvester's successor, claimed that Butorin had ordered the hit. According to his testimony, Sylvester planned to go legitimate, leaving the criminal world behind. He had started mocking Butorin as too dumb for legal business, fearing he'd be pushed out. Butorin allegedly decided to strike first. Butorin, now serving a life sentence, was always denied involvement. Almost immediately, rumors began circulating that Sylvester had faked his death and escaped abroad. He had obtained Israeli citizenship, moved large sums of money overseas, and bought property abroad. No DNA test was ever done. Only dental records confirmed his identity. Within months, sightings were reported in Vienna, Odessa, even Cyprus, but none were ever verified. More than 30 years later, no solid evidence has emerged to prove that one of Moscow's most feared mobsters staged his death and lived on.